Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Michael, aka Rickshaw, and welcome to Worship and Tribute Nerd. Today we got Scary Movie Club, and we're going to be talking about old school It, and also Stephen King. We're going to be talking about a bunch of Stephen King bullshit. Right, Mike?
That's right.
Also with us is
Richard,
aka Rabbit.
Rabbit.
You got to do your code name.
AKA
Steve.
Rabbit.
I don't have an AKA.
I don't
Damn
call
it.
myself that.
Well,
though.
when
Other
you're
people call me that.
Okay, so like the thing is, I know the rules in nickname making. So if you're a Mike or a Michael, that's not good. So you need like a nickname. But if you've been dubbed Mikey, you usually stay Mikey. Or
True.
there might be another name attached somewhere, like Sleepy Mikey. So I made the rule book for nicknames. So if you want,
Oh, you did? Okay.
If you want to read it, sometime.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to do that.
As the guy that's been named Rickshaw because of racist reasons. I know all about
Because
it.
of racism.
Because I've studied nicknames and cried.
Well, I made the rule book on how to make rule books, so I'm actually like,
That's pretty tight.
yeah,
We should, hey, you want to come to my work sometime? I'll come to yours.
we'll team up. So you might have read some of what some of my work.
So anyways, we're going to talk about It. It's one of the most well-known Stephen King novels. It was made into a miniseries in like 1990.
Yeah.
So, favorite scenes. Anyone want to spark it up? Your favorite scene?
The one that always stuck in my mind as one of my favorites is the when he comes out of the school shower. It's real bad looking, special effects wise, but that was always that's the scene that always stuck in my brain. Was when he just goes,
Yeah, he's like, and then he's like,
It's all
"What's
stop
up,
motion."
little
Yeah.
boy."
But it's the night. I mean, at that time, that was.
I
the
mean,
special
honestly,
effects.
it reminds me of Tim Burton. Like, it reminds me of like Tim Burton doing things in like Pee-wee, like large Marge.
or like also in Beetlejuice. There's a lot of that.
Oh yeah,
But,
you
like,
need
the
that
funny
stop
thing is-
motion stuff he does.
Yeah,
like,
but
that's-
but the funny thing is, I was like still scared when I watched Pee-wee and that part came on. I was like, ugh. Tell him large Marge sent ya.
Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
But yeah, that also made me scared to shower at school
pretty creepy.
after that. So
I was always scared of any kind of storm drain after watching that movie. It didn't matter if it was like the ones you always see him pop out of, or if it was like the big great ones you see in parking lots. Like, I was like, that motherfucker's gonna grab me, like all the time.
like, hey, you Georgie. Of course, that's like the most iconic scene you will ever think of for It is whenever Georgie sees him in the storm drain.
Yeah.
And he's like,
It's like, wasn't that the poster basically? Like him
yeah.
Yeah, I think so,
coming
yeah.
out of the storm drain, like his hand.
Hiya, Georgie. You want a balloon?
Yeah, and the new one, it's all about the red balloon. Is like this whole
Yeah.
thing with the new ones.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, but the new ones are just like, hey, make your eye do that thing. And then everyone on set's like,
Yeah, he did a lot of stuff that like shouldn't be, like the weird lip thing he always
can make
did.
his lip do that thing
Yeah.
too. Yeah. That's natural.
and he's
Real
like
creepy.
drooling.
Yeah.
I thought it was prosthetics, but I saw him do it like
Yep.
on a talk show. He like makes the face. He like makes his eye go
Or
crazy.
He does like the Grinch thing or something. He's like, yeah, he's a pretty creepy dude. I mean, he's like in actuality a scary, handsome man. But
As is
I
that
think I
whole
would still be
family.
scared.
And he's a
of him, though.
Skarsgård, so yeah.
Yeah. If I met him, I would still be like, ugh, why is this guy lingering?
Lingering.
Linger.
He's like, yeah, nice to meet you. I'm so handsome. Scaring me, Bill.
But I think Tim Curry, like he does a lot of like weird like stuff with his mouth too. The way his lips move and stuff in the movie.
I
Kinda.
still think that his performance in that movie is like timeless.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like,
for sure.
will always be like I will never.
I mean,
I will never be like the new It is my favorite, I'll be like, nah, it's always gonna be comparable. You know what I mean? It's never gonna like trump it. You
Well, they
know what
both
I mean?
did completely different takes.
Right. And they are products of different time for sure. You know what
Also
I mean? Like,
that.
And also, to be perfectly honest, like the only reason that miniseries was any good was because of Tim Curry.
Oh, yeah.
If Tim Curry wasn't
Without
in
a
it,
doubt, yeah.
well, I mean,
it would have just been like,
it did have star
like y'all remember
power, though.
remember The Stand?
I think mostly with
No,
the,
you don't,
yeah.
because there was nobody in it worth watching.
Well, but still,
and it was the exact same thing.
Aside from Tim Curry, that was like a pretty stacked '90s cast. You know what I mean? Like
True, but
they had the dude
Would it-
from
would it really
Night
have-
Court, I think, and then
Yeah, Night Court, yeah.
from,
stacked, stacked.
that
That one dude
Night
from
Court.
and then it had what's the homeboy? You know, that from Problem Child. You know what I'm talking about?
So it was real stacked, huh, Mike?
John Ritter?
John Ritter.
Was John Ritter in it?
Yeah, John.
Yeah,
Ritter's
yeah,
in
because
it
he plays Ben. He
Oh,
plays the
shit.
fat kid.
when he's older.
Yeah.
He's not really all that fatness. He's more just kind of like a big guy.
I haven't
a big
seen
kid.
it in a long time.
Come and knock on a door. It's been waiting for you,
R.I.P.
Georgie. R.I.P.
But yeah, honestly, I don't think it would have been as popular as it was without Tim Curry.
Let's name some
Technically.
Tim Curry roles that are just like iconic evil shit.
Legend.
Legend, mate.
It's the fucking devil.
And
Clueless.
then,
Or was it
Clue.
Clue?
Clueless. Clueless.
You know.
He was the bad guy in Clueless.
Rolling with the homies.
Rocky Horror. Rocky
Oh,
Horror.
Rocky Horror.
I redeemed myself with that.
He
Home
was-
Alone.
I was going to
2.
say
Oh,
Congo.
Home Alone 2, yeah.
Oh yeah, Congo. Was he in Congo?
Lost in New York.
Yeah.
He was in Congo.
He was the
That was, ugh. That
Hermoka guy with that garbage ass accent.
Honestly, I love Congo. That movie.
No, dude, I love the shit out of Congo too. I don't care what anybody says. It's
Right.
bad. I can
kinda
admit it
bad.
now, but I
Horrible.
love it.
Amy hungry. Amy, good gorilla.
Ugly woman. Ugly. Why is that the one thing like everybody remembers?
I don't
is
know.
The,
Yeah.
That shit
the
was
sign
awesome,
language
man.
talking
Yeah.
gorilla.
Didn't they just remade that movie with The Rock, right? Rampage.
Part
Yes,
2.
that's what they
actually.
did.
Part 2.
It was just as atrocious.
Isn't it funny though to think that like somebody was like, so I saw a game the other day. There's a werewolf, a lizard, and a monkey, and they break down buildings. I've got a script in mind for this.
We can do something with
And there's like a whole room of people that's like, that's a fantastic idea. I know The Rock.
Listen, I got The Rock on speed dial.
And that's how money is made. Everybody.
He owes me a favor.
So I thought another scene that is super creepy is, do you remember when they all are old and they meet up for Chinese food? Anyways, they all catch up, and you know, this is after it has returned and they're older and they go eat Chinese food. And then like one of them cracks open a fortune cookie and there's like a fucking eyeball in there, and it's like and it's like blinking at them, and they're like, oh shit. And then all of the fortune cookies like hatch, and one of them is like a chicken fetus, and it's like
Wow.
yeah, and that was
sounds
graphic.
awesome.
That's pretty graphic for ABC or whatever. This motherfucker just opened up a fortune cookie and a bloody chicken fetus started walking around. And it was like so it was real nasty. So I remember being a kid like, I'm so scared right now. It's funny that like an ABC miniseries can scare the shit out of me, because I was like, that fucking clown is scary as fuck. I like
He never scared me though.
Really?
As a clown. He scared me more when I watched Legend as a kid. Sorry, he scared me more when I watched Legend as a kid.
Right.
as
Well, I
the
mean,
devil.
he's a big, scary
Like,
goddamn devil. Too.
I just never was.
The big
Okay,
horn guy.
I'm not scared of clowns. Like I know it's a big thing with a lot of
Right.
people. Except for like what happened like 5 years ago where clowns were just like walking into people's front yards. Okay, that would be kind of scary.
I mean, yeah.
But like
know.
clowns in general, like why people are scared of them, I don't get it. It's never been an issue with me.
Because it's supposed to be a happy thing. That's why think of anything happy, And I'm sure there's been a horror movie that's like utilized that to use against your fears.
Oh, I'm sure. But
like teddy bears.
people just see
Evil
clowns and
teddy
they're like,
bears.
"Ugh."
This is how they make horror movies.
Yeah, it's like a legit phobia, right?
dolls.
Like
Makes
to be
you
afraid of
happy.
clowns.
Chucky dolls.
It's like, oh, Burger King. Well, the Burger King's gonna get you.
Tomatoes.
Like that commercial with the Burger King where he's like in bed or whatever. That's fucking scary.
Oh, see now that thing freaks me out more than a clown does. The king, like his head.
He's like,
Yeah, and also Jack from Jack in the Box.
You're scared of Jack?
I'm more scared of that than a fucking clown. They're creepier. They're creepier to
Coming
me.
this summer to a drive
Like if the Burger King and Jack from Jack in the Box, like, and I had like Pennywise in front of me,
that does sound kind of scary, honestly.
I would like hold Pennywise's hand and skip down the street.
No. I mean, I know, I get what you're saying, but if you saw Pennywise walking down the street, you like, for one, it would be scary, even if he just walked by randomly on a Thursday. He'd be like,
That's a dude dressed like a clown. Not into that.
Yeah. So, and then if he, manifested as your fear.
Yeah.
So
That was my point.
So if
That's it.
came to you, what would you see when you first saw him? Because he always mad.
I mean, one of the things in the movie was the werewolf.
You were
Werewolves definitely freaked me out as a kid. The first time I saw Teen Wolf, I almost shit myself.
Yeah, it was like,
And that's like a
werewolves,
comedy movie.
Yeah,
like it's
yeah.
not even scary. And
the
I almost
leper.
like it would make me and people like with cat faces. Sleepwalkers.
Sleepwalkers.
That trailer for cats.
Oh god,
Ugh.
yeah.
Oh my
Trailer for
God.
cat.
That was
I had a
that's
fear
gonna be
boner
horror
the
movie of
entire
year.
3 minutes I watched that video.
Fear boner, everyone. What about what would you see?
Anything werewolf.
Man, that's a tough one. Because I'm hard, so I'm not.
All right, Mikey. Too much information right here.
Yeah. Looking at you, Mike.
Sick motherfucker.
I don't know, man. I'm trying to think of things that really scared me as a kid. You know what? This is gonna sound real stupid, but when I was a kid, I saw Poltergeist really young, and trees at night scared the shit out of me.
Poltergeist is pretty fucked up for its time. Like
Yeah,
when that dude
that's
pulls his face off, like I was like,
That was like
Oh, in the bathroom. Yeah.
I remember
No,
like
that
watching
movie's
it.
like PG.
I watched it with my parents one time when I was like a young boy.
Yeah.
And like the dude pulls his face off, and I was like, "You did this to me, Dad."
Isn't that Poltergeist 2 though?
No,
that's part one.
that's
They're
when
like
they get the
paranormal investigators, and the one like goes in the bathroom.
the one guy with the
and starts being
glasses, and he starts picking at his face,
And it's
and
like,
then eventually he starts just ripping his whole face off,
Oh shit.
and then it's like the light flashes, and he's
don't
like
remember that
back to
really.
normal.
I remember when like all the chairs and shit like went on the ceiling.
the rock fight.
See, yeah, the rock fight was whack in this version.
In the old version?
Yeah,
Well, we know about
I do like
we
some
know
of the-
about
I don't
Snoop
know
Dogg
what
and
they're
Dr.
gonna
Dre
do.
nowadays, so we know what a raw ass rock fight looks like. You know what I'm saying? We know what ghetto looks like. Okay. They
I
look,
do.
they're
I like a lot of the
They're like
lines.
gently tossing rocks at each other in the old school version.
Oh,
and then
yeah,
in the
for
new
sure.
one, they're like,
They're kind of just like
"Fuck the police."
Fucking Bowers gets hit in the leg, and he's like, "Oh god!" He just like drops to the ground. Like
one of
they
them has a
fucking hit him with
gun.
a
I
billy
don't know, it
club,
comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, somebody,
and then
somebody has a mace.
and then
have a
fucking
mace.
Bev gets like lightly hit in the arm. She's like, "Oh!" But I do
it's
like a
funny
lot of the
that they-
lines that he has in the movie.
It's good that it still made it. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of beats to the It story in general, even in the book, that are like more old school. It takes place in the 60s. And
Like when they were adults, it's in the 60s.
when they're kids.
No, when they're kids, it's
Oh.
in the 60s.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't the movie take place in the 50s?
80s.
Well, yeah,
new
but
one's the 80s.
Yeah, the new one's the 80s, but the old one,
Or is it the
I think
50s?
they're in the 50s as kids.
Okay. So, I mean.
And then they go to the 80s as adults, I
Right.
believe.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That should be right, yeah. So it's offset in
It's
correct
27
time,
years,
right?
right?
Incorrect time.
Yeah, I believe, yeah.
Anyways, yeah, I mean, that's... So whenever you're, like, directing a movie about people in the 50s throwing rocks at each other, you're like... okay, like,
Yeah.
Hit him in the arm. And then nowadays,
Just
it's
like, a
fucking
knee.
shoot him in the face.
Scrape a knee or something. Yeah.
So yeah,
Cut his arm
directing
off.
is better. Tim Curry is what made the movie.
Without a doubt.
That is my opinion.
Right.
You can
The way, just
can-
the
I
sound
thought
of
of
his
that.
voice.
you can agree with
sometimes
me
is
or
great.
not.
I'm just kidding. I agree with
I
you.
like.
Totally.
There's a line. I think when they're adults, he calls Ben. He says something about. He calls him Fat Boy. Just the way I always hear it in my head.
Fat boy.
Yeah.
Kiss me, fat boy.
He's like a Freddy almost. You know what I mean? Like he's got funny shit to say
Yeah.
almost.
And there's almost no like. In the new version, he's really not very funny. There's a couple of moments that I thought were kind of funny in the remake. I think they're beating on Mike, the black kid, and he looks across the creek.
Oh yeah, and he's like,
And he's got that kid's hand in it and he waves at him.
That
I
was-
love that
that was kinda
scene.
funny.
That's one of my
That was-
favorite scenes.
pretty twisted.
He's like he got blood all over his face.
He's just so weird.
Yeah.
Some complaints I have with it is like the adult cast doesn't look anything like the child cast at all. And I was making a joke about that earlier about how adult Bill doesn't look anything like John Landis. And he's got that fucking mole on his face. Like that stupid ass hair. And it's just like, God fucking damn it, dude.
You're like, dude, why do you have this long silky hair put up in a bow? It's like, oh, it's the 80s. I get it now.
But also, I mean, you also have to keep in mind that it was a made-for-TV miniseries,
Right, yeah,
not
it's true.
a major motion picture.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's true.
I always
Like, you
try
have to keep that in mind.
But even like
But still, you're
but,
right.
You know, back then,
But they
though,
could have, like, could you at least have covered the mole up? I mean, fuck, man. That was like literally the first thing I noticed. I was
Mikey's
like,
got a mole
why is this
stigma.
motherfucker got a mole?
How'd you like the movie? I couldn't see it.
Man, as soon as I saw adult Bill, all I saw was that goddamn mole on his face. But like when it comes to the parents in Derry, like I like how they're portrayed more in the remake as opposed to this one. Like for example, like Eddie's mom is,
She's like punishing, like
yeah, she's not as like clingy and shit and like just weird and creepy as she is in the remake. Like I think
yeah. I know what
the
you
lady
mean.
that played her in the remake does a great job of just being like weird and like
Yeah,
just-
especially for like, you know, the people that you read about in the newspaper that love their kids so much they protect them from everything.
like
and then
too much.
Eventually, the kids like kill themselves or kill their mother. You know what I
Right?
mean? Like,
Yeah. And I didn't really get that from his mom in the miniseries version.
Right.
But
Really?
also
Right.
the other thing is like since the miniseries was like made for TV
Yeah.
and the remake of It Chapter 1 is like
Rated R.
rated R.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's certain subjects that they just couldn't go into.
They couldn't go to it as hard into.
But now they can,
Yeah.
you know.
Right.
And also, like, the implied molestation of the daughter by the dad, it's more relevant now that those topics are being talked about and, like, more socially.
Hey, Mikey.
It just gets bigger and
I
bigger.
know your fear.
No!
Mo. Wake up in cold sweats. That damn mole's haunting me. I swear to God. I always love the scene where he's like, "This is battery acid, you slime," and he sprays him in the eye, and he's like,
Yeah, that prosthetic of his face like falling off right there is real dope.
"The Deadlights." Did you guys ever listen to that band, The Deadlights?
Yeah, they weren't very good.
They were pretty tight.
Were they? I don't know. I think
And I've never heard of them, so.
They were like a Deftones wannabe kind of
Okay.
band, like from the 90s.
yeah, it was like very new metal,
Yeah.
like when bands like Crossbreed and shit like that were popular, and
Right.
Orgy. I like how
The book gets super weird.
when the one kid gets snatched up, how like his body like folds up as he gets pulled into the pipe, and then I think it's Henry Bowers when it comes back out. It like
Talks to him in the insane asylum.
well no, but when he's like still a kid.
Oh yeah.
In the sewer when he goes down to kill the kids, but he like it comes back and it fucking turns all his hair white.
Yeah.
And it's like it blew his hair back.
I mean, I don't know how the new one is gonna go, but like the difference in the movie, they kind of leave out a lot of details on like it. It gets really weird because it, is like so like when the world. Okay, so there's this big turtle. They explain it like this. There's this big turtle, and it fucking has existed for all the time or something shit like that. And it started hacking up one day, and it hacked up the universe, right? So the other thing that existed during the turtle's time alive was it. And it's like the dark manifestation of all negativity or some shit like that.
It's like light and dark.
Yeah, and then
basically.
it came to Earth at one point in time and just lived. It like crashed in under like Derry was built on top of where it crashed or some shit like that.
And like that's the thing I really enjoy from the books or the book is that like the whole town's really tied into Pennywise,
Right.
or it,
Right.
so like that's why all the adults are like
They're like clueless.
almost complacent to everything. It's like they just have like these weird blinders on to everything. And I think in the book, I don't think they do this in the miniseries, but when they kill it, basically the whole fucking town just collapses because it was all basically tied to him.
So like there's also some graphic differences in the book.
Oh God!
Like Stephen King really knows what to do.
Man, he was fucking
you.
snorting rails, dude, constantly.
Yeah.
He was high as a kite all day, every day.
So one of the things that I think that's really fucked up in the book is so
the sex scene.
well, we'll talk about that first.
Okay.
Okay, so when they're kids they defeat it, and then when they're leaving the sewers they get lost, and they're just like for hours and hours and hours they're like, okay, well, I think we're gonna die. And then Beverly's like, I know what to do. And she's like, it'll help bring us together.
Was that what it was? I always thought it was more to like so that they wouldn't be kids anymore and they could face Pennywise. So the idea was that they all bang Beverly to become men.
Maybe. I mean, like,
which is a fucked up concept.
I think it's up for interpretation, but it got real weird to where they all had sex with her in the sewer.
Yep, they all gangbanged her, basically taking turns.
This is new information to me.
Yeah,
Never heard this before.
Real fucked up.
So also, there's some other. That's the main fucked up thing is like whenever anybody brings it up, they're usually like, "Oh yeah, because Beverly banged everyone."
Stephen King, bro.
Dude.
So, anyways, another fucked up.
Doing coke.
So there's another fucked up scene where I think it's Richie, maybe. Richie is afraid of like homeless people and like disease and like disgusting shit. And then like at one point, at the old house on whatever street, I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
It's like where a lot of the shit happens or whatever. He sees a leper, and this.
I think it's Eddie.
Eddie, yeah, it is Eddie. It is Eddie.
Hypochondriac kid.
Yeah. That's what he was. Eddie, and he sees a leper, and the leper's like immediately like, "Hey kid, you got a quarter? Hey, you got a quarter?" And he's like freaked out, and he's like, "Oh my God, what the hell? No, leave me alone." And then he's like, you know what? Suck my dick, Eddie. Suck my dick. And then he's like, how about I give you a quarter to suck my dick, Eddie? And like it like in the book, it's like so like out of nowhere, and you're like, oh my God, this is freaking me out. Then later on, he like goes home thinking about how creepy that experience was. And then there's another time where he has to go and he has to crawl underneath the porch to enter the house. And while he's underneath the porch, he sees something moving like in the corner, and he realizes it's like a it's like a body, and then it like turns around and it's like the leper,
Oh.
and he's like, "I'll suck your dick, Eddie. I'll suck your dick." And I was like, even listening to it on an audiobook, I was like driving in the car, I was like, "Oh no, this is creepy." So that is definitely
That
one
sounds
of the
horrible.
most graphic, scary parts, because Stephen King gets that coke in him, and he knows what you're scared of.
Snorting fat rails, man. All the time.
Yeah, that's how he writes like 20 books in
Yeah.
a matter of 2 weeks.
Yep.
But not anymore. He's clean now. Dr. Sleep. You guys into that?
I'm actually pretty excited about that. But it's weird because, like, Stephen King was like vocally not a fan of The Shining, so it's like with this movie, is it gonna be because it looks like it's.
It honestly
I don't-
looks like more like the book than the Shining movie versus the book. You know what I mean?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But it also looks like it
Have
takes
you-
a lot
well,
from
Have
the
you
book.
read the Dr. Sleep?
I haven't. No.
Do you know anything about it?
Nope.
Do you want me to tell you what
I
it's
only
about?
recently even found out about it,
I
and
can
then
tell you
saw
what
the
it's
trailer.
about. I'll give you a brief synopsis, because it's like it's a whole kind of different story, but it keeps some of the same shit you learned from the first one.
Well, I know that it follows adult
Danny.
Danny Torrance.
So
Yeah.
Danny, in the new one, Danny is an alcoholic,
Yep.
and the only way he's ever coped with the having The Shining and going through that traumatic experience when he was a kid at the hotel is to be drunk, and this follows him and how miserable he is. But then he starts having a psychic link with like a little girl randomly, and she talks to him, and she kind of like looks for him for guidance, like she doesn't know what it is that she has, and he kind of like starts teaching her via telepathy.
Right.
And then she tells him that there's someone that's coming for her, and it's like the same people that kind of feed off of that energy that was like at the hotel. So like these are like weird soul-sucking people that are like all involved with like this negative spiritual energy or whatever, and she is like coming for the little girl to like feast on her because she has the shining so brightly. You know, she's like really powerful. So,
Right.
So all these people are just like, yeah, we're gonna feast on her soul. And so it's about him like trying to help. So it's like a lot different than how you might see a sequel happening, but I think it's really awesome when a sequel takes you on a different ride.
Yeah.
But I read the book and it was really awesome. So, but Stephen King's usually awesome.
Yeah.
Stephen King's usually awesome, or it's awesome, but you're like, that was weird as fuck.
Out of all the Stephen King adaptions, what would you say are a few of your favorites?
The Shining.
What?
The Shining.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like The Shining.
I mean, it's Stanley Kubrick, and he's amazing.
I like Pet Sematary. I like the original a lot.
One of my personal
Dead Zone was
favorites
okay.
Trying to think.
was, and I don't think a lot of people like this movie. I really enjoyed it. Was 1408.
1408.
I fucking loved that movie.
Oh yeah. Fuck. Okay.
I just was
Sam
thinking
Jackson
of
was in
one.
that, right?
Yep.
And
John Cusack.
John Cusack.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Forgot about that movie.
It's real fucked up.
The Cat's Eye. That's
No,
Stephen King, right?
Yeah, it is.
Dude, the one they just did on Netflix a few years ago, Gerald's Game, or
Oh yeah, that was
Dude.
pretty
Yeah,
dope.
they did a couple on there
That
too. They did
shit.
Gerald's Game and
no, that one was
1922.
Yeah.
that one was fucking.
In
good.
1922, I killed my wife.
I
I think
haven't yet
Thomas
to watch
Jane,
either of those yet,
honestly,
but-
in that fucking movie, Thomas Jane is such a great actor. Like he plays like this, like farmer hillbilly dude, and he's like, there's scenes where he's like talking. He's like, "Come boy, and fetch your mama, and go no longer in the field," and like you're just like, is this Thomas Jane? Like, seriously?
Yeah,
but that was
I
a
mean,
pretty dope movie.
He's a pretty good character actor.
Yeah.
I think
But Gerald's Game was fucking awesome.
weren't a lot of his older books, like, or a lot of the older movies, weren't they all kind of like, most of them were like made for TV shit.
Yeah, I think they
Like-
had a deal
like Langoliers and
Tommy Knockers.
Tommy
The
Knockers.
Stand.
Yep. Man, why?
I heard that they're doing The Stand again.
Was Children of the Corn Stephen King, or was that?
I don't think so, but there's so many like movies that I'm like, oh fuck, Stephen King did that. I'm just like, I had no idea.
The Night Flyer. Have you ever seen that?
Never heard.
It sounds familiar though.
That was pretty fucked up. You should probably watch that. I'm trying to think of more Stephen King.
Star
shit now.
Wars. You ever heard of that?
Star Wars.
I think that was Stephen King, right?
No, I think you're thinking of Leprechaun in Space.
Oh, yeah. You're right. My bad.
Isn't that Stephen King?
that's what I
Leprechaun
was
in Space.
I don't believe so, but I mean, who fucking knows? Misery was a really good one
Oh,
too.
Misery. That's the one I
Oh,
was thinking
fuck.
of. Yeah.
That's a
Misery's
real
like
good one.
the best one.
Holy shit.
You think so?
I mean,
I don't know if it's
what's her
the
name's
best
performance in that?
Kathy
movie?
Bates.
Kathy
Yeah,
Bates.
she's a
She was
scary bitch,
insane.
man.
That was
She's
insane.
awesome. Kathy Bates
Yeah.
is an amazing actress.
Fan toxicity at its beginning.
Yeah, like
Before the internet.
at its peak, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that kind of person that she played taught the internet how to act.
In our time, it's easier for us to portray that type of mom on screen
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it
yeah.
is
know what I
true.
mean?
Fair enough.
Somewhat.
because
Well,
those issues have come to light
Yeah.
where like parents will like keep their kids on medication or
yeah.
pretend that their child is sick to get attention, and like that stuff's been in the news. It's like more
It's
common
more,
now.
It's much more known.
it's more
now.
known and socially accepted,
Yeah.
which is back then. And
It wasn't.
Even-
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
in the 90s, it was like there was no need to even bring that up in the movie, I think.
I saw
Say-
George R.R. Martin and Stephen King on a panel together, and like they were, like, does anyone have any more questions? And George R.R. Martin was like, I got a question for Stephen King. How the fuck do you write so many goddamn books?
Can you
Well-
imagine if Stephen King and like, because somebody else that I always think of that writes like a shitload is R.L. Stein.
Oh yeah,
R.L. Stein has so many fucking books out.
Yeah.
It is goddamn ridiculous.
It Chapter 2 is coming out soon. So what kind of expectations? What do you think they're gonna do from the old school shit? Obviously, they're keeping the scene where Beverly goes to her old house
Yep.
and sees a creepy old lady.
And this is probably like some spoiler
That
territory,
trailer
but
is
if
so
you've seen the miniseries or read the book, they hint to it pretty hard in the trailer. But Stanley,
Offs himself.
yeah. Let's try spoilers.
Spoilers.
Uh,
It's already been. It's a remake of a movie already.
Yeah,
and,
it's
and
true.
it's a book. So,
Yeah.
So there's spoilers where it's like,
if you don't know
Right.
by now.
this is obviously I was complaining about this earlier, but I like how much the adult cast in the new version looks like. And when I watched the new trailer,
Right.
when they showed them side by side, I was like, "Holy shit!"
it's a pretty
It's
star-studded
freaky
cast,
how
and-
much these guys look like the kid actors.
right.
Yeah.
It's so well cast.
I'm pretty excited for it. Chapter 2. Are you guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Rabbit looks tired.
Sleepy.
He doesn't have much to say about it. Probably hasn't seen it since he was a kid.
Nope. You were 100% correct.
You are correct. If you like the video, give us a like. Tell a friend. Tell your mom. Comment and tell us if you hate our videos.
If you have any opinions that you want to discuss with us, leave it in the comments. We'll try to get back to you.
All right, see you later, nerds.